There's a couple of ways to make sure you unlock the best traits and gear items with better stats very early in Hogwarts Legacy, including one trick that basically lets you choose which trait you get when looting a chest instead of relying on random chance. When I first figured this out, I wasn't sure how useful it would be, but I quickly realized that being able to use some of the best traits relatively early on has actually made a huge difference in combat. Plus, this trick also allows you to get some of the coolest cosmetics and even decorations for the Room of Requirement early. But first, I want to show you a super simple method to grab the Ancient Magic 3 trait, which is one of the better ones in the game and super nice to have early on. If you've taken a look through the Challenges tab of your menu, then you may have noticed that under the Room of Requirement category, we have a challenge for upgrading our gear. If you complete this set of challenges, you'll unlock the Ancient Magic 1, 2, and 3 traits. Now, if we head over to the Collections tab and into the Traits category down here in the bottom left, we can find a list of all the traits we've unlocked and some information about them. So we can see here that the Ancient Magic traits increase damage from our Ancient Magic special attacks, with the Tier 3 version doing so to a significant level. And in my testing on the Troll at the South Coast Battle Arena, it really is significant. Having a full set of these slotted on all 6 gear pieces increased my Ancient Magic attack damage by about 4.6 times, or 360%, which is obviously a huge boost. I tested this out at level 26, but you can easily complete the challenges much earlier than that and start using this powerful trait. To do so, the best strategy is to simply upgrade all your blue pieces of gear to level 1 right before selling them off to make room in your inventory. The level 1 upgrade on blue items is the lowest cost upgrade, requiring either 1 Jobberknoll feather or 1 Mooncalf fur, and you'll capture both of those beasts during the Room of Requirement quest to unlock the loom anyway. Just remember to upgrade as many blue pieces of gear as you can before you go to sell them off, and after a few rounds you'll have the Ancient Magic 3 trait unlocked. And also don't forget that you'll need to actually go into the challenges menu to claim the traits, just like you do with any other challenge reward. They won't be given to you automatically. Now, to actually weave the trait onto our gear pieces, we're going to need some other materials, but first I want to explain how traits work more broadly so you can better decide for yourself how you want to spec out your gear. As you may already know, traits can provide offensive or defensive boosts to our gear, and there's 3 ways to acquire them. It looks like just one comes from completing a quest, as there's only 1 open slot in that category. That ends up being Scorching 1. Unfortunately, I can't figure out which quest I got this from, so if you know and you wouldn't mind leaving a comment down below, that would be much appreciated, since I'm working on building a Google Sheet list of all the traits, how to get them, and their effects that I'll make available to you guys at a link in the description below. Anyway, a total of 24 traits will come from completing challenges, like the Ancient Magic ones we discussed earlier. You can unlock a lot of defensive traits by completing combat challenges. And finally, you'll find a whopping 50 traits in the ornate chests scattered around the world. Typically, those chests are found in poacher or goblin camps, and each time you open one, you'll get a random trait. As far as I can tell, none of the chests are preset, so unfortunately, we can't map out where all the best ones are. We'll circle back to my solution to that little problem in a second, but once you've got a trait you want to use, you'll need to head back to the Room of Requirement where you can use the loom to weave it onto your gear. Now, traits are not single use, which is great. Once you have one, you can weave it onto as many gear pieces as you want, as many times as you want, as long as you have the beast resources to do so. You can see the resources needed after opening the View Traits menu at the loom, and you can also see them listed with the trait description in the Collections tab of the menu. Now, I can give you guys a really nice tip here, which is that Tier 1 traits always require 1 Puffskein fur to weave. Tier 2 always require 1 Deerycall feather, and Tier 3 always require 1 Kneazle fur. So it's smart to have at least a few of these guys around in your vivariums to fuel the inevitable trait swapping that you're going to do, especially Kneazles since their fur is used to weave the Tier 3 traits. I'd recommend getting at least 4 Kneazles as soon as you can. You'll get at least 1 Puffskein from the quest with Deke that unlocks the loom. You can find Deeryclaws near this ruin southeast of the West Hogwarts Valley Fluflame, and there's a Kneazle Den southeast of the Central Hogwarts Valley Fluflame near an Ancient Magic hotspot. There's plenty of other beast sites all around the map too. You just need to zoom in all the way and look around for these paw print icons. Now, there's been a bit of a question going around as to whether or not traits will stack if you apply them to multiple pieces of gear. So I've tested this and I can confirm that they do indeed stack, and not only that, but they multiply together instead of add together, at least in all the cases myself and my friend Paris have tested. So if, for example, you load up all 6 gear pieces with a trait like Laceration 3, which increases the damage of Defendo by 15%, the total damage increase will be about 2.3x, or 130%. In other words, it more than doubles the damage of Defendo, which is awesome, but you of course need to get Laceration 3 first, and that one, along with most of the other good ones, all come as random drops from chests. So that leads me into the trick I've been using to farm some really good traits. First, you need to find an ornate chest containing a trait. As I mentioned before, you'll always find one of these in goblin and poacher camps. So first, clear the camp. And then, before you loot the chest, make a manual save of your game by opening the menu, going to Settings, and then Save Game, where you can choose to either use an empty slot or overwrite another manual save. Once you've got the save locked in, go ahead and loot the chest and see if you like the trait you got. If it's not great, open up the save menu again and go to Load Game this time and choose the manual save you just made. And make sure you do pick the manual save, as the auto save that will be at the top won't work. Loading this manual save is basically a time turner for us. We get to go back in time a bit and loot the chest again, and you'll see this time you'll get a different trait. You can do this over and over again, essentially rolling the dice until you get a trait you like, which is how I've been getting some really good tier 3 traits like Concentration 3 and Control 3. Now of course, once you've looted a trait you like, you can't use that chest again, so you'll have to go find a new one to get another trait. But if you do this each time you clear a camp or come across an ornate chest anywhere else on the map, you'll rack up some pretty nice traits quite quickly. Honestly, once you understand how to do this, the hardest part is remembering not to loot the chest right away and instead make that manual save. If you do accidentally loot it, you can open up the Load Game menu and choose an autosave that will also take you back in time a bit. Just be aware that doing so may force you to have to clear the camp again. Also, you should be aware that it seems like your chance of getting a higher tier trait is tied to your level. I don't have any hard data on that, but through experience it seems like I've been getting tier 3 traits with fewer attempts as I've leveled up, and Paris has experienced this as well. I don't think that should deter you from doing it at lower levels though. It costs you nothing but a bit of time to load the manual save a few times. By the way guys, if you're finding these tips helpful, leaving a like on the video would be awesome and much appreciated, as it really does go a long way in helping me out. Now, this reload looting trick doesn't just work on trait chests, it actually works on any chest, which means you can also use it to fast track getting some of the cooler room of requirement decorations, as well as better gear items, including the cosmetic they come with. Now, doing this with gear is a bit more complex, since it also appears that gear stats are tied to your level. As I'm sure many of you have noticed, you'll often get a lower rarity piece of gear that has better stats than a higher one. The only explanation I have for this is that the gear stats are tied to your level in some way. This is further complicated by the fact that gear stats are also somewhat randomized, as I've found identical pieces of gear with different stats multiple times. The reload looting trick lets us manage that a bit though, because you can keep reloading a manual save made right before looting a gear chest to get a higher rarity item, one with better stats, or even just one that you like the cosmetic of better. Another tip I have for you guys, specifically related to getting gear with the highest stats possible, is to intentionally wait to loot some of the big legendary chests until you're max level or close to it. I wouldn't leave them all unlooted, but you could for example leave the hedge maze ones unlooted, since they're super easy to go back to at any point. Because the gear item's stats are tied to your level at the time you loot the chest, going back to these when you're high level will help ensure you get legendary items with the highest stats possible. Now, I'll definitely be doing a more comprehensive guide for gear and trait optimization, but for now I hope these tips can help you guys get some good items early on to make your playthrough more fun. If you haven't already seen it, then you're definitely also going to want to check out this video where I cover all the tips I wish I knew when I started playing. Big thanks to Avalanche, Warner Brothers, Portkey Games, and the rest of the Hogwarts Legacy team for sending over a code for me to start playing a bit early and come up with these tips for you guys. My traits list spreadsheet is still in progress at the time I'm uploading, but I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to check it out, and we'll probably have it done pretty soon. If you find that spreadsheet or this video helpful, leaving a like would be much appreciated. Big thanks to my friend Paris, who has been helping me with the research for this video and lots of other research we're doing on the game mechanics in Hogwarts Legacy. If you want to be on the cutting edge of ancient magic research with us, or just want to chat about Hogwarts Legacy and other games, definitely come check out my Discord server linked down in the description. We've got lots of friendly and helpful people over there, and it's the best way to reach me directly if you want to ask a question or say hello. I'll also mention that I recently set up channel memberships here on YouTube, so if you'd like to support the channel, get access to some unique emoji you can use in the comments section and on live streams, and be one of the first to get a cool badge next to your name, you can go ahead and do that by hitting the join button below. We need just a few more members before we unlock more emoji slots so I can add some Hogwarts Legacy ones. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.